Well. Another chapter of Limbus Company's story has recently been released. Or maybe not released, but escaped from the writing room. You know the drill. I'm gonna go through the plot bit by bit and give commentary where need be. All the good and the bad will be mentioned during the commentary, while my overall feelings about the Intervallo shall be at the end of the video. Got all that? Alright, let's begin. First of all, it's nice to see that Dante is actively trying to improve his control over the newly acquired Durante ability. We haven't really seen him think about that kind of stuff before, outside of a couple of cases where Kim Ji-hoon remembers to include them into the conversation during battles. Other than that, there are some talks about Dante's aspect which lead to nowhere. The next note is about how Ezra doesn't give a damn about public infrastructure and is happy to make Kaiman do janitor work for her. We then meet the rest of the LCD team, but instead of Moses, we are greeted by a new addition to the team. Bamboo-headed... I have some problems regarding this guy. First of all, I want to be clear that I don't mind Kim being taken in a new direction. His character is well established and developed throughout the course of this Intervallo. His story is extremely compelling, and you begin to really understand how he came to be such a respected figure. It's just that this isn't Kim. That's not how he behaved back in Runa, back when he was the leader of Blade Lineage. And I know what you're thinking. I do said Kim is reserved and a man of few words when speaking to strangers. Except this is disproven almost immediately. This dude knows nothing of the Sinners, because they've never spoken to each other. Kim's Phantoms, back in the Blade Lineage Intervallo, only communicated to Dante his feelings about the past. He should know nothing of the Sinners beyond the things Aindu said about them. And even if we ignore that, his demeanor towards Gyeongyop, who he never met in person but is aware of who she is, and the Baker Lady, who he knows absolutely nothing about, suggests that this is blatant mischaracterization on Aindu's part. Which wouldn't be the first time she misrepresented her mentor. What I'm getting at is that PM had decided to replace the old bamboo-headed Kim with a completely different character. He's not the mysterious poet with a troubled past that we first saw in Library of Runa. He's now a goofball who occasionally gets serious but not too serious. Whether that's a good or a bad thing really depends on the person. You either like the new Kim or you don't. Personally, I'm kind of indifferent. I can definitely see how old Kim could have become a more compelling and involved character in the story, while keeping the mystique and the missed opportunity of that vision is what upsets me. But I also enjoyed the new Kim and his feigned silliness that concealed a deep sadness within him. So I guess these both aspects kind of cancel each other out for me. I'm still not sure whether I like or hate bamboo-headed Kim now, but I can't say that he's a bad character now. If anything, his character is now even more faithful to the Korean poet he's based on. Both like to crack some jokes at the corrupt people's expense, after all. Now, if you're not too furious at me for slandering your goat, I kindly ask you to check the description, since I now have a Discord server. It's strictly 18+, because, well, this platform is not a place for a kid to be. Way too unsafe, if you know what I mean. I also have a Ko-Fi now, so if you ever wanted to financially support what I do, now's your chance. Also a mandatory reminder to subscribe, share, all that jazz. Back to the video now. After this flabbergastation of an introduction, the gang starts to piece together what kind of distortion they're dealing with. The temporary investigation leader of this whole shebang is Ezra, who is trying to recall and apply methods and terminology that Moses used for solving distortions. There might be some references here and there that you might have noticed if you've ever read Distortion Detective. Because of that, and because I already theorized about the missing Season 6 Intervallo being planned as a Distortion Detective Intervallo, but being ultimately scrapped, I believe that Mnestic experience is that missing Intervallo, or at least was supposed to. Of course it would have been much different than what we've got, and probably wouldn't even be in N-Corp, but still, the main focus would have been on the Distortion Detective crew. Now, however, it's not really important to think about such things. Let's talk about Merceau. It's always been a little pet peeve of mine that Dante never really fully capitalized on Merceau's abilities. Like, there's a reason why he's considered the 4th strongest sinner in the checkup Intervallo, right after the Dementia Swordswoman. Now, however, Dante has started to slowly pick apart what makes Merceau tick. There's a lot to analyze in his answers and overall behavior, since it is put on full display here. This fact alone makes this Intervallo great at setting up for future developments in Count to 10. It also makes you think of and remember all the previous moments where Merceau was a noticeable contribution to the conversations. And if you don't remember, then I guess the flashbacks are gonna help you in that department. Seriously, it's like this is an anime episode with how many flashbacks we've got during cutscenes. Speaking of flashes, Let's talk fight design. The S-Corp, N-Corp, and Blade lineage goons are nothing to really concern yourself with. They're very easy and are straight up win rate fodder. The Tunicans especially have a very confusing design. On paper, their game plan is pretty interesting. The Incapacitate units inflict Evasion Wound and tons of bleed count, lowering the sinner's speed and HP so that they're in the range to get staggered. Then, Bind units use Hunter Scouring to inflict Trust, and make a unit roll nothing with their coins while forcing a 1v1 with the Tunican that inflicted the debuff. This is all well and good until you realize these guys are bugs. They roll poorly, have non-breakable coins unless they're faster than you, and have to contend with Aindu and fucking Kim or Ezra because they just exist. Any normal fight in this Intervallo becomes a joke when you realize that you essentially have 9 skill slots at all times. That's why I'm struggling to write anything interesting about these goons, because they get evaporated before I can even try to think about any of their gimmicks. Like, the concept of N-Corp taking a photo of your skill and making it clashless is cool and all, but it doesn't matter when they can't even hit you because every single one of them is already dead. Let's hope a Bogak will make it interesting to fight them or something. The first fight with Gyeongyop is, bad. At first I was kind of excited to fight an enemy that had so many skill slots where I would need to coordinate with NPC allies to take over slots and activate their assist defenses. But then 3 turns pass, the boss disappears, Tunicans get replaced by N-Corp, and you just kind of slaughter them. Then punch the camera, see that the boss has like 5 slots, and quickly end the fight. I guess now we know about the gimmick. The second fight, however, is better, but not exactly great. It reminds me of the butterfly in Refraction Railway 6. The boss switches between different states, and you need to manage their status effect in order for the fight to go smoothly. The butterfly, however, was a threat even at 0 stacks of its status, while Gyeongyop is barely scratching you at her strongest. There may be times where her status effect stacks will get out of control, but it's nothing you can't get around because you already have massive amounts of ego resources gathered from previous fights in the dungeon. If we take these factors out of the equation and consider how she would behave in Reflectrial, and if we remove Aindu and Kim, then her bleed count infliction is actually the main issue in this fight. Like, if your units have even a little bit of bleed, and they will with guaranteed bleed she inflicts with her Unbreakables, then there's a good chance they'll get 6 potency and 8 count on their asses, and then you think how she gets Unbreakables when her unique status effect is at 3 or 7, depending on the stance, and those Unbreakables inflict bleed as well. Yeah, I know, some of you might be having Count of 7 flashbacks right now. But as she is in Intervallo now, the boss fight is just not threatening enough and doesn't do much, especially considering the almost 2k HP level 81 sponge we have on our team. And I really doubt the Bogak buffs are gonna change that in any way. Returning to the story, now I'll do a quick lightning round of the less important things that I either liked or disliked. One of the better things that came out of Kim's reveal is how Aindu had to change in order to accommodate this drastic shift in character. I love her updated visual design and her, I guess, yanderish kind of devotion to her master, contrasted with her usual attitude. It's a side of Aindu that definitely smooths out her seriousness and makes her that much more likable. I don't have any strong feelings towards Gyeongyop, though a large part of the fandom holds a different view of her. It's not that she's a bad character, more so that she's in the story solely for Kim's sake, serving as a friend who helped Kim in the past, and as a temporary obstacle in the Phantoms. She'll probably play a bigger role at some point in the story, but for now, I can't really call her an interesting character on her own merits. The Samurai Power Armor is awesome though. I'm getting kind of annoyed with the Sinners just letting people die. The Distortion had all the time in the world to be menacing and express its killing intent. Why didn't someone like Heathcliff, who is praised for his intuition, kick away the civilian and clash or tank the Distortion? This really felt like another anime moment where no one can do anything until the enemy finishes telling about his motivations, backstory, etc. And then everyone just shrugs and says, "The Distortions are so mysterious, we would have never guessed it would kill itself." Yeah, sure, whatever. The ending to this Intervallo is one of the best. Reminds me of Sancho's reveal during the Warp Express. It gives so many questions and makes you wonder why is Mirso the way that he is, that he would willingly surrender himself while not telling anyone that he is not supposed to be in N-Corp. Like, the man is not stupid. He would have known that the Sinners would have no idea about any of this and wouldn't be able to even think about asking him whether he's a wanted man. It was very well done, and I can't wait to see what will happen in Kanto 10. In conclusion, this Intervallo is pretty good. I definitely get time killing time adjacent vibes to it. Solving the mystery while learning of the culture of the nest, there definitely are similarities. They both even feature a goober who annoys everyone. Mnestic experience is probably overall better written, but I enjoyed both more or less equally. Nothing beats Twanian threads for me though. In any case, thanks for watching. I streamed my playthrough of the Intervallo on my YouTube channel and am planning to stream Limbus and other games more frequently, so be sure to come by. Join my Discord so that you know when I'm going to stream. And as usual, subscribe and do the other things you're inclined to do. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.